In a very small village called Opesa, there lived a woman named Sharon. She was a widow and lived alone in a small house with a rusty roof. The walls were made of mud and sometimes, when it rained, water would leak inside. Sharon was a farmer. She grew vegetables and sold them in the nearby market. She did not have much money, but she had a very, very big heart. At night, she would sit outside her house and listen to the sounds of children playing in other compounds. Her own compound was always quiet, and this made her heart feel heavy and empty. She prayed to God to fill her home with laughter and love. One day, a tragedy happened in Sharon's village. A young couple who were teachers in the village school died in a car accident. They left behind 2 children, Esther, who was 9 years old, and Sam, who was 5. The children had no uncles or aunts in the village to take them. They were all alone. The village leaders met to decide what to do. When Sharon heard this, she did not wait for anyone to ask her. She went straight to the village head and said, "I may not have much, but I have 2 hands to work and a heart to love. Let the children come and live with me." And so, Esther and Sam, carrying a small bag of clothes, came to live with Sharon. Their eyes were red from crying, but Sharon hugged them and said, "This is your home now. I will be your mother." News of Sharon's kind heart spread in the village. A few months later, a sick woman from a neighboring village brought her 2 grandsons to Sharon. The woman said, "My daughter has run away to the city and left these boys. I am too old and sick to care for them. Please help them." The boys were Frank, who was 7 years old, and Francis, who was just 4. They were thin and looked very scared. Sharon's house was already small, but she looked at their fearful eyes and could not say no. She took them in. Now, she had 4 children to feed and care for. The story of the kind woman who took in orphans reached the nearby town. One day, a social worker brought 2 more children. They were Angela, a brave-looking 11-year-old, and Fred, her 8-year-old brother. Their parents had died from a sickness, and no relative wanted them. The social worker said, "We have nowhere else to take them. Can they stay with you for just a little while?" Sharon looked at Angela, who was holding her brother's hand tightly, trying to be strong. Sharon knew a little while would become forever. She smiled and opened her arms. Her family was now complete. 6 children called her Mama Sharon. Life was very, very hard for Mama Sharon. To feed 6 growing children, she had to work like a machine. She woke up at 4 a.m. every day to go to her farm. She came back to prepare the children for school. After they left, she would go to the market to sell her vegetables. In the evening, she would mend clothes for people to make extra money. The children slept on mats on the floor in 2 small rooms. They ate simple food like gari and soup every day. But Mama Sharon made sure they never missed school. She would tell them, "Education is your key. It will open a big door for you in the future. You must study hard." At night, they would all sit around a small kerosene lamp, and the children would do their homework while Mama Sharon sewed. The house was poor, but it was filled with so much love and laughter. As the children grew older, they saw how hard their mother worked for them. Her hands became rough, and her back began to bend. She often went to bed hungry to make sure they had enough to eat. One evening, Esther, who was now 15, gathered all the children. She said, "Look at Mama. She is killing herself for us. We must make a promise. We will study very hard. We will become successful in life. And when we do, we will take care of her and give her the most beautiful life. She will never work again." All the children agreed. That night, they made a secret promise to each other and to their sleeping mother. The years passed, and the children finished secondary school. They all passed their exams with flying colors. But a new problem came. University was expensive. Mama Sharon had no money for fees. She sold her small piece of land. She sold her only valuable possession, a small gold chain from her late husband. It was still not enough. The children did not give up. Esther won a scholarship to study medicine in Lagos. Sam and Frank got jobs as cleaners in a shop in the city while they went to a polytechnic to study engineering. Angela won a scholarship to study business administration. Fred and Francis worked as security guards at night to pay for their university fees in the daytime. They all worked hard, remembering their promise and their mother's sacrifice. For many years, Mama Sharon lived alone again in the small village house in Opesa. It was even quieter than before. The children were far away in the city, working and studying. They could not come home often because they had no money for transport. They would send her small letters and sometimes call her from a neighbor's phone. Mama Sharon missed them terribly, but she was proud of them. She continued to farm and sell vegetables, now sending the little money she made to support them in the city. Her body was tired, but her hope was strong. 10 years later, things began to change. Esther became a medical doctor. Sam and Frank became successful engineers and started their own construction company. Angela became a top businesswoman, importing goods. Fred became a computer engineer, and Francis became a pilot. They had all kept their promise to themselves. They started sending money home to Mama Sharon. At first, it was small amounts for food and new clothes. Then, the amounts became bigger. They told her to stop farming, but she refused. She said, "I cannot just sit down and do nothing. It is my work." One sunny afternoon, a big, beautiful car, followed by 2 others, drove into Opesa village. The villagers ran out to see. The cars stopped in front of Mama Sharon's old house. The doors opened, and out came Esther, Sam, Angela, Frank, Fred, and Francis. They were dressed in fine, beautiful clothes. Mama Sharon, who was in her old farm clothes, came out and saw them. She thought she was dreaming. They all ran to her and hugged her tightly, crying tears of joy. The villagers watched in amazement. Esther held her mother's rough hands and said, "Mama, we have come to take you away from this hard life." Sam said, "We built you a new house." Angela said, "It is in the city, a big and beautiful house." Mama Sharon was shocked. She could not believe what she was hearing. They led her to the car and drove her out of the village. They did not stop until they reached a beautiful, big mansion in a highbrow area of Lagos. The house was like a palace, with a garden, a fountain, and many rooms. They told her, "Mama, this is your new home." Mama Sharon's life changed completely. She no longer had to fetch water from a well or cook with firewood. She lived in the big house with servants to help her. Her children bought her beautiful new clothes and shoes. They took her on an airplane for the first time to see new countries. But the most important thing was that her children never left her side. They visited her every weekend with their own families. Her compound, which was once quiet, was now always full of the laughter of her grandchildren. She was no longer the poor village woman. She was the queen of her family. On her 60th birthday, her children threw a huge party for her at her mansion. They invited all the important people they knew. They also went back to Opesa village and brought all the villagers to Lagos for the party. During the party, Esther stood up to give a speech. She told the whole story of how Mama Sharon took in 6 orphans with nothing but a heart full of love. She talked about the hungry nights, the hard work, and the sacrifices. As she spoke, everyone at the party was crying. Then, all 6 children stood in front of their mother. They knelt down together as a sign of respect. Sam said, "Mama, you used your last strength to raise us up. Now we use our success to lift you high. You are our only mother. Thank you for everything." The sight of 6 powerful, successful billionaires, doctors, and engineers kneeling before their poor, old foster mother broke everyone. There was not a single dry eye at the party. It was a shocking and beautiful ending to an amazing story of love and reward. No act of love and kindness, no matter how small it seems, is ever wasted. If you plant a seed of goodness with a pure heart, it will one day grow into a big tree that will give you shade and fruits. True wealth is not in money, but in the love and respect of the people you have helped. This story shows that good people still exist and good deeds are rewarded. If this story of sacrifice and amazing triumph touched your heart, please like, share it with all your friends and family, and comment below with the word favor, to wish blessings and favor upon every mother who sacrifices for her children.